The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled Emily Dawson's kitchen. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the perfectly arranged family photos on the counter. Her husband Mark sat at the table, reading the newspaper. Their two children, 8-year-old Sophie and 6-year-old Ethan, chatted excitedly as they ate breakfast. To an outsider, Emily's life was a dream. A loving husband, beautiful children, a comfortable home, she had it all. Yet beneath the surface, a nagging feeling of emptiness lingered. Days melted into weeks, each one blurring into the next. Emily felt like a hamster on a wheel, going through the motions without truly living. Emily went through the routine of her day. She packed lunches, drove the kids to school, and attended her weekly tennis match with her friends, but her heart wasn't in it. She felt like she was playing a role, the dutiful wife and mother, but it didn't feel authentic. The laughter of her friends seemed distant, their conversations about vacations and shopping sprees, failing to penetrate the bubble of her discontent. Emily longed for something more, something to ignite the passion that she felt was slowly dying inside her. She craved excitement, adventure, a sense of purpose that extended beyond carpools and grocery lists. One dreary afternoon, Emily found herself browsing a local art gallery. The rain outside mirrored the gloom that had settled over her. She wandered aimlessly through the exhibits, her eyes skimming over paintings that did nothing to stir her soul. Then she turned a corner and stopped dead in her tracks. A photograph, captivating in its raw beauty, drew her in like a moth to a flame. It was a portrait of a woman, her face a mixture of strength and vulnerability. Emily couldn't tear her eyes away. "You have a keen eye." A voice startled Emily from her reverie. She turned to see a man standing beside her. He was tall and lean, with a mop of dark hair streaked with silver. His eyes, a piercing blue, held a hint of amusement. "Max Riley," he introduced himself, extending his hand. "I took that photograph." Emily's cheeks flushed as she shook his hand. "Emily Dawson," she murmured, suddenly self-conscious. "It's beautiful. You captured so much emotion in a single frame." Max smiled, a slow, easy grin that lit up his face. "Thank you. I try to capture the essence of my subjects, the stories behind their eyes." Over the next few weeks, Emily found herself drawn back to the gallery, to Max and his art. They would talk for hours about photography, about life, about their dreams and disappointments. Max listened with an intensity that both thrilled and disarmed Emily. He saw through her carefully constructed facade, recognizing the yearning that lay beneath. With him, she could be herself, without pretense or judgment. A spark ignited between them, a connection that ran deeper than anything Emily had ever known. Their conversations spilled over from the gallery to cozy cafes and late-night dinners. Emily found herself sharing her deepest thoughts and feelings with Max, things she had kept hidden away for years. He understood her in a way that Mark never had. With Max, she felt alive, vibrant, desired. The guilt gnawed at her, a constant reminder of her betrayal. But the allure of their connection, the intoxicating feeling of being truly seen and understood, proved too strong to resist. Emily told herself that this was just a fling, a way to reclaim a part of herself that she had lost. She never intended for things to go too far. Emily's affair with Max became her secret world, a stark contrast to her mundane reality. She treasured their stolen moments together, the secret glances, the whispered conversations. But as the weeks morphed into months, a growing unease began to cloud Emily's happiness. Max, who had initially showered her with attention and affection, became increasingly distant. His calls were less frequent, his texts filled with excuses and apologies. Emily brushed off her concerns at first, telling herself that he was just busy, that their unconventional relationship came with its challenges. One evening, while scrolling through social media, Emily stumbled upon a photo that sent a chill down her spine. It was Max, his arm wrapped around a beautiful young woman. They were at a gallery opening, the same gallery where he had promised to meet Emily that night. The caption beneath the photo read, "Another successful opening with my muse." Emily's heart pounded in her chest, a mixture of anger and disbelief coursing through her. The woman in the photo was not Emily. It was then that the realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. Max was not who she thought he was. He was a fraud, a charmer, a master manipulator who preyed on vulnerable women like her. Section 5 shattered illusions. The world that Emily had so carefully constructed came crashing down around her. The man who had promised her passion, who had made her feel alive again, had betrayed her in the cruelest way possible. The pain was unbearable, a suffocating weight that threatened to crush her. She confronted Max, her voice trembling with a mixture of fury and heartbreak. He didn't deny it. In fact, he seemed almost indifferent to her pain, dismissing their affair as a bit of fun. "You knew the rules," he said coldly. "Don't act like you're surprised." Emily's carefully constructed facade crumbled. She confessed everything to Mark, her words tumbling out in a torrent of shame and regret. Mark was devastated, his pain palpable. The life they had built together, the family they both cherished, lay in ruins. He moved out, unable to bear the sight of her. The constant reminder of her betrayal, the guilt and shame were relentless. A heavy cloak that Emily couldn't seem to shed. She had destroyed everything. Her marriage, her family, her sense of self. Section 6. Picking up the pieces. The days that followed were a blur of despair and loneliness. Emily withdrew from everything and everyone, isolating herself in her pain. She barely ate, barely slept, the weight of her guilt and regret crushing her spirit. Her friends, shocked and disappointed by her actions, kept their distance. Emily couldn't blame them. She had betrayed their trust, shattered the image they had of her. Only her children, their innocent love, a beacon of light in the darkness, gave her the strength to keep going. She had to be there for them, had to pick up the pieces of her shattered life and rebuild. The road to redemption was long and arduous. Emily knew she had a lot of work to do, both on herself and on repairing the relationships she had damaged. With the support of a therapist, she began to unpack the years of buried pain and resentment that had led her down this destructive path. She realized that her affair with Max had been a symptom of a deeper issue, a desperate attempt to fill a void within herself that she had been ignoring for far too long. Therapy provided a safe space for Emily to confront her demons, to acknowledge her mistakes, and begin to forgive herself. Section 7. A bridge to healing. Through therapy, Emily began to understand the root of her unhappiness. She had spent years suppressing her own needs and desires, prioritizing the needs of her family above her own. She had become so consumed with being the perfect wife and mother that she had lost sight of who she was as an individual. Emily realized that she had been complicit in her own unhappiness, allowing herself to become trapped in a life that no longer served her. It was a painful realization, but also a liberating one. For the first time, Emily allowed herself to dream again. She enrolled in a writing class, something she'd always wanted to do but had put on hold for years. The words poured out of her, stories of love, loss, and redemption. Emily's relationship with her children slowly began to heal. She made a conscious effort to spend quality time with them, to listen to their worries and celebrate their triumphs. Sophie and Ethan, sensing their mother's genuine remorse and her efforts to change, responded with love and understanding that brought tears to Emily's eyes. The road to reconciliation with Mark was rockier. The pain of her betrayal ran deep, but Emily refused to give up hope. She wrote him letters, pouring out her heart, expressing her remorse and her unwavering love for him. She knew that it would take time, patience, and a willingness to forgive on both their parts. Section 8. Finding her voice. As Emily healed, she found herself drawn to helping others who had experienced similar pain and betrayal. She began volunteering at a local women's shelter, offering support and guidance to those struggling to rebuild their lives. Sharing her story, her journey from the depths of despair to a place of hope and healing became her passion. Emily realized that her experience, as painful as it had been, had given her a unique perspective and a powerful voice. She started a blog, writing candidly about her struggles with infidelity, divorce, and self-discovery. Her words resonated with countless women who had endured similar experiences. Emily's vulnerability was her strength. Her willingness to share her story without sugarcoating the messy and painful parts gave others permission to do the same. Through her writing and her volunteer work, Emily discovered a sense of purpose that she had never felt before. She had taken the shattered fragments of her life and forged them into something beautiful and meaningful. Her pain had become her platform, her story a source of hope and inspiration for others. Emily embraced this new chapter of her life with open arms, grateful for the opportunity to make a difference in the world. Section 9. A new chapter begins. Time, the great healer, gradually softened the edges of Emily's pain. The guilt and shame that had haunted her for so long began to lose their grip. She learned to forgive herself, to accept that she was human, capable of making mistakes. In the process, she discovered a strength and resilience she never knew she possessed. Emily's relationship with Mark remained strained, but they were committed to co-parenting their children with love and respect. They had both been through a crucible, and while their marriage had not survived, their love for their children transcended the pain of the past. Emily's writing career blossomed. She published a collection of personal essays that became a bestseller, touching the lives of women across the globe. Her story, raw and honest, resonated with readers who saw their own struggles reflected in her words. She traveled the country, speaking at conferences and workshops, sharing her message of hope and resilience. Emily had found her voice, her purpose, her tribe. She was no longer the woman defined by her mistakes, but a survivor, a thriver, a beacon of hope for others navigating the choppy waters of heartbreak and healing. Section 10. Embracing Redemption. Years later, Emily sat on the porch of her new home, a cozy cottage nestled in the woods, a mug of tea warming her hands. She watched as her children, now teenagers, laughed and joked with their father as they prepared for a camping trip. Life had taken some unexpected turns, but Emily had learned to embrace the journey with all its twists and turns. She had emerged from the wreckage of her past stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The woman who had once felt lost and alone had found her way back to herself, her spirit unbroken. Emily's story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the transformative power of forgiveness, and the beauty of finding redemption in the most unexpected places. She'd come full circle, but she was no longer the same woman who had once stood on the precipice of despair. Emily had embraced her past, learned from her mistakes, and emerged from the fire stronger and more resilient than ever before. She had found her purpose, her passion, her voice, and in doing so, she had inspired countless others to do the same. The journey had been long and arduous, but Emily wouldn't trade it for the world. For in the depths of her pain, she had discovered the true meaning of redemption. And that, she knew, was a gift worth cherishing.